All right, y'all. Dr. Daff. Talk to me, Dr. Daff. We got a new show. Well, this is not a new show, but I have never seen this one before. And I thought it was very interesting. Just the title alone. You got trans women against women. You know what I'm trying to say. Or they say, what do they say? Cis women? My wife hates when I say that. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't know why we're redefining what God has already defined. I don't understand it. Anyway, let's watch this debate. I've seen 5 minutes, and the 5 minutes that I've seen were intense. I'm just going to leave it at that. Here's the first question. Womanhood is defined by biology. All right, let's go.
I just kind of feel like the debate is very redundant. I mean, you can say like, oh, trans women aren't biological women, but then also still say you should still treat them as women and we should still be treated as, just a normal woman. I mean, like I said, the whole point of going back and forth of this terminology, it's just, there's no real point. And the people who disagree, it's very unlikely they're ever going to change. And the people who already agree on it, it's very unlikely that they're ever going to change. So people should just kind of like, I just feel like the argument's sort of pointless at this point.
So because neither side is going to change their opinion. Therefore, we should just agree that men can be women and women can be men. We should just throw our hands up and just say it is what it is. Is that what I'm hearing? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense.
I kind of feel the same way. Like I just have a very different viewpoint on what womanhood encapsulates, like in terms of like everything. I think it's very, I just don't think it's right to like make snap judgments like that about a situation that maybe you don't know like what my experience in womanhood is. Like, just like maybe I don't know what yours is. I just feel that snap of like making womanhood depend on biology just feels wrong to me.
I believe it's 100% biology. I believe from the second I was born as a woman to when I die as a woman, that entire journey, as difficult and beautiful as it is mine. So it's always going to be different. But I believe every step of the way is affected by the fact that I was born a woman, I'm a woman, and I think it's very beautiful and sacred. And I would just never want that to be something that someone could just claim, I guess. So yeah, I think my whole journey will be because I'm a woman.
Well, what if I told you that's my experience? From the moment I could even form thoughts, I was a girl, like always has been, always will be. I was verbalizing that I was a woman or girl from the moment I could speak. So honestly, I relate, like, cause I feel the same way. While your experience might look a little bit different than mine, I feel.
You remember the very first moment that you could speak? I can't remember it. Maybe it's because I had some trauma, I can't remember it. Can y'all remember the very first moment you spoke? Is that what you truly remember, or is that what your parents told you? Because I think we have a parental problem. I think we have parents that are affirming these delusions and even encouraging it. I feel like they told you, you know what, baby, ever since you could speak, you were telling us that you were a woman. I think that's what your parents told you. Could you imagine looking a woman in the face and saying that I know what it's like to be a woman in the same way that you know what it's like to be a woman? Could you imagine? Do you understand the audacity that it takes to look a woman in the face and say that? This is how I'm saying. I already know this is going to get intense.
I feel the same. I was always a girl, was always a woman, am a woman now. And I think that things are harder to define rather than just looking in that like black and white box of, ooh, it's biology, oh, it's not biology, because I think that really confuses what my experience is and also what you said, kind of like how different yours is,
I'd have to disagree with that. I have lived a woman experience, but you never truly have had a lived experience as a woman.
Ooh.
You have to think about biology, chromosomes, hormones. You can't discount biology and reality. If you feel like you've had a lived woman experience, that's not rooted in reality. You actually don't.
That's your opinion.
That's exactly what I believe.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Bro, but that's a really good point. Your feelings and the reality of the biology at hand are two completely separate items. Because you might say, I feel like a woman, right? But, you know, you got a dang-a-lang. But then you have a real woman who is actually experiencing life as a woman, confirmed by biology and all of what comes with that. Like, you understand what I'm saying? I don't know how we got here. And I don't want to be disrespectful because I'm not trying to be I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not. Because I understand that people are actually going through some real stuff, some real pain, some real trauma, some real confusion. They're going through some real stuff. So I don't want to pile on. I don't want to make it worse. But at the same time, I do want to let people know that there is truth. Perfect truth. And like it or not, that is only found in God. Specifically, the God of the Bible, Yahweh. Okay, I'll try not to talk as much. I'm just excited.
I absolutely disagree and completely believe the opposite. So like, I can already see where this is going, like bringing in like spirituality. I've kind of just gotten the vibe a little bit. And like, I'm not on that same playing field.
But how could you truly know what it is to have a lived experience as a woman if you weren't born as a woman?
Yeah, how could you know what my experience is as a woman if you've never been in my shoes?
But you don't
But I've
also
been
know,
a woman my whole life.
but respectfully, you also don't know what it's like to be a trans woman. And I think that we get too comfortable reducing trans women down just to their genitalia. Because let's be clear, when we talk about the experience of being a trans woman, it does not start with biology. It starts with gender identity, gender expression, and how we socially show up. My womanhood is not a threat to your womanhood. And I actually agree with you. I have a similar way of thinking of like, I was born this way, I will die this way. My experience is very sacred. And that's why I'm in alignment with all of you here to be able to share that. I just think that certain groups, certain people love to use the conversation around biology, but we don't want to talk about the nuances of biology. There are some women, some cis women, who look more masculine than trans women. And does that take away from their womanhood? So I really think that we really have to open up and expand and broaden on what it is to be a woman.
Or like intersex people. Like,
by the way, I respect your opinions, but I 100% do agree with her. Most likely we do. I feel like that's almost like me being like, oh no, your experience is like a paraplegic. Like I'm totally there and feel for you. It's like, how could I even say that? That's, to me, I feel offended being like, yeah, no, I've totally been there. Like, we agree to disagree because you haven't. And you
I
never
would
will.
argue that maybe our experiences are more similar than you would think. Like really how I've like been exposed to certain things, and even as somebody who had not come out as a trans woman yet, I was going through experiences that women go through. And that may not resonate with you, but it's not really your place to tell me what I experienced and what I didn't.
Yeah, I was born a woman. Everything about me is a woman. All the hardships I go through every second of every day, being a woman, going through, I mean, I don't want to talk about too much personal stuff just because I am a public figure and most of it's extremely traumatic, that I think probably every woman goes through. But just from being a little girl, going through puberty, being around men, I've been in LA, was going out at a young age, through dealing with health issues, periods that send me to hospitals up until this day, hormone issues, constantly dealing with also being a public figure and my image and all these things. It's just so difficult. Sometimes I'm like, the fact that we work is so crazy to me because what I emotionally go through 24/7. I've dealt with cervical cancer, which has been the most traumatic thing I've ever gone through, multiple times, multiple surgeries. Women's healthcare is genuinely medieval. it makes me sick. I am very pro-woman. I hope that comes across. And I'm just like, my entire journey, my hormones, what I was born at, my biology makes me who I am and takes me on this journey. And I just always want that to be something respected, because I really feel for women. What we go through is just, thank God I am in this country. If I was somewhere else. There's always room for nuance. I do agree. I totally understand a different perspective. I can respect it. I just might not agree with that, but I don't want that to be like, oh, I'm shutting you down as no and I'm right. Okay. Because I don't want it to be that. Yeah, I just want it to be like, this is just my journey. And the older I get as a woman, I'm 31, I want to get married, I want to have kids, and I see what women go through with having children. I just think we are like the most like magical creatures, and I just want that magic to remain, if that makes sense. I just think it's really special.
I would say where I feel like a lot of overlap does come in between lived experiences is between, societal, like living how society views you. No one is sitting here thinking she is a man in any capacity. No. So when she's walking out,
you're gorgeous.
Everyone's thinking.
And so are you, by the way. I don't look at you guys.
No,
I'm like,
don't
dude,
worry.
it's like, no.
Yeah.
And, no, like genuinely, that's what's like, what's up, ladies?
But when we go out and like, let's say, no one knows, we have our names changed and everything. When we go on a job application, we're going to be applying basically as a woman. So we're going to be treated as a woman, and we walk out of the house, we're going to be treated and seen as a woman. So I think in societal standards, there is definitely some overlap, but I will say, I also agree to the point of there are experiences, none of us could ever understand when it comes to womanhood. And when it comes, yeah. And, but I feel like that's also where it comes into
that's actually really respectful.
Yeah, that comes to the uniqueness of like trans womanhood, growing up trans, living trans, just in the same way, I'll never know what it's like to grow up and, have my first period or anything like that. None of you would ever know what it's like to grow up and know you're one way, but physically see it in another way. And then to live that. And
I guess I kind of want to direct my question back to you, since this is kind of where this started. Is there any nuance for you? Because to me, entering in a conversation like with you, it's easier for me because you are allowing nuance. And it sounds to me as if you're not allowing that.
Why is that?
Your immediate response, I think it was really clear where you're at in comparison to Emily's. I think am I off by that?
I don't think you're off.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you that I don't understand your lived experience, because I've never lived an experience as a man. Or
I'm not living an experience as a man, friend. And I just want to be clear to everybody in this room that I was invited here as a woman. So if we're going to engage in a conversation with each other, I would appreciate the respect of being talked to as a woman for this conversation. You don't have to agree, but I'm not going to be in here and being talked to that way, because we were invited here all as women.
You were actually invited here as a trans woman.
Yes, trans woman. That's called a distinguisher, friend.
When you put trans or another word in front of woman, it's not actually a real woman.
Thank you. Why is that offensive? Why is that offensive? The whole conversation is trans against actual women. That's the whole conversation. Isn't it? What she say, trans is an identifier? Okay, but your experience from a biological standpoint, because just sticking to the question, from a biological standpoint, your experience is as a man presenting as a woman. And yeah, sure, there might be people who you come across in your life who see you as a woman, and so they treat you as such. But even in that treatment that you receive, that does not change the biology. That does not change the reality. So yeah, you are operating in a unique space, because that is a unique experience. That is a unique experience. That's different from my experience, because I'm not presenting as a woman. That's different from a woman's experience, because biologically they're women. So you are operating in a unique space to where your experience is going to be unlike anything that I can know or want to know. But you can't compare that to the experience of a true biological woman. It's just not comparable. Especially under the confines of this question.
Describes the woman.
Short woman?
It's an adjective.
You don't
It's
have
an
to do that
adjective.
for
Trans
a
woman
woman.
is a type of woman, and that goes under the whole umbrella of what womanhood is. But going back to the regular question, the whole question around biology, like I said, you want to open up the conversation for nuances. So what do we say to women who have naturally higher testosterone levels, who look more natural, who look
We don't call them men. Like, what point are you trying to get at?
more masculine because of something that we call genetics, because genetics is something that you cannot control. So do we take away a woman's womanhood because she's more masculine, because she's a tomboy? Or is she still a woman? Because like that could become a whole social.
Okay, but here's the thing, and this is the issue, and this is just what it is. We're operating under two different realities. Your reality is completely different than my reality. You think that gender is fluid. You think that biology is fluid. You think that truth is fluid. You think that there's different versions of truth. We not even gonna be able to sit here really agree on nothing. But you know, through all of it, I see the human being through all of it. I see a human being who is made in the image of God. That's what I see. I see a human being who is made in the image of God. And that's the whole point, is like, as frustrating as these arguments might be, because it's like, bro, we know what the truth is. As frustrating as these arguments might be, I do think we have to constantly remind ourselves that we are all humans. We are all made in the image of God. And there is real confusion. There is real deception. There is real spiritual warfare that is happening all around us. And we don't all react and respond the same to that warfare. Anyway, let's continue.
Construct around that. See, I think what Stassi is saying is like you have to allow like nuance to be able to flow in, to be able to understand that. Like just y'all being a conservative woman, I like to know what your definition of conservative is, because is it more just political, or is it because like you carry yourself a certain way? Do you dress a certain way? So I can understand a little bit more.
I would love to jump in on the topic of what is a conservative woman. For me, it is number one, my faith. My faith as a Christian informs every aspect of my life. And so that's going to be mainly where I'm leading through. Second is family. I think family is a really important thing to me and many conservatives. So when we talk about laws and society, many conservatives are concerned about what is going to affect the family unit. Third is tradition. Conservatives lean towards a more traditional vibe, if you will. So we're not so much about tearing apart the entire social constructs and ripping it all apart and starting new, because we value what generations before us have done and we find wisdom in that. And so it's like you're looking in a road and you see a big rock there, and some people may think like, okay, tear the rock out, build a fence, do all these things. But when you lean conservative, it's more like, okay, why is the rock there? Let's do a little bit more research behind that. Let's find out what the generations before us did about it. That's kind of where I lean. And so that's kind of what informs my conservative Christian attitude.
Oh, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
And can I just mention one thing?
Please.
Because you're conservative, more leaning,
I wouldn't
right?
call myself conservative, but I would see myself as more kind of right-leaning on some issues.
Okay.
The reason for that is just simply because of, not even necessarily because of like LGBT issues, because I mean, I think it's pretty obvious my stance on that, but more so when it comes to just things like, you know, gun rights. And I'm also pretty traditionalist, you know, surprisingly, but, you know, when I have like my husband, I want to just have my husband, have my kids, just have my family. And I believe, you know, as a trans woman, it's my right to do that, you know, to be like the motherly figure, go adopt my child and, you know, raise my family how I want to raise them and, you know, do all that. So yeah, I guess I'm, like I said, when it comes to the whole right versus left thing, I'm kind of in the middle, but, you know, slightly right leaning on.
And I think
What an interesting individual. That is very interesting. That is very interesting. White frou-frou socks, high heels, hasn't said a word. I want to know. I want to know what said individual thinks.
you bring in a little bit more nuance, and that's what I can kind of respect, even though I may not agree with everything that you're saying or even everything that you're saying. You're allowing nuance where I feel this prompt does not allow nuance at all, because I just feel it's so black and white sometimes in the way that things are said, specifically the way that you directed your comments. I just feel it's so like closed-minded, and like I can hear you. I can respect that. I'm having a harder time. I'm having just a little bit harder of a time with you.
Just to give her some slack, I 100% agree with what you're saying. And I think when we're having these conversations, I mean, I have in mind, okay, you are trans individuals. Your mindset through all of this is gonna be from that mindset. So if I don't completely agree with what you're saying, duh, because we're on the opposite side of the spectrum. So if you're seeing us, conservatives, some of us are Christian, you're gonna see that we believe a certain way. We wouldn't come on an episode if we didn't believe strongly about that. So you gotta give a little in that situation.
I just want to also say that there are some trans women that are also Christian and that are also conservative and liberal. I'm very much more liberal. And so I think a lot of what you name, I think the point I want to make is a lot of that can be applied to trans women as well too. And so when we understand.
Conversation break. For y'all in the comments, I want to know. Can a Christian be trans? Can a trans be a Christian? I just want to know what you think in the comments. Leave a comment. I'm going to go and read it. I want to know.
That our liberation is actually linked or whatnot, I feel like that these conversations can become a lot more fruitful. And that's the reason why I really asked about the whole conservative thing, because I think there's different levels to conservatism. Some are more radical. It doesn't look like y'all are that radical, thank goodness. But yeah, but for what you're giving today, in this moment right now, it's fine. It's fine. And so I think it's really important that we actually ask, what is the conservative woman? And understand that there's different types of trans women. I am probably one of the most liberal, loose trans women up here on this panel, and I'm proud of that, and so some of the same traditions and values that you have, I also have. And so that's what links us together. And so I think when we have conversations around biology and chromosomes and what's male, what's female, gender identity, all of these things or whatnot, I feel like sometimes it drifts us apart because we're not willing to listen to each other and like look at the science and just understand that. And so I just wanted to bring it back to a place of unity.
Well, then I have a question for you.
Okay, real quick before she goes to her question. I do like what was just said from the context of we should be looking for more ways to come together and unify as opposed to cause more division, because there's so many reasons and it's so natural for us to look for things that divide us as opposed to look for things that unify us. It's just natural. The division is natural. At least in this world right now, it's natural. It's become natural. It's become normal. But that was not the intention. But anyway, I think if we're going to make any true progress in terms of this conversation, we have to find ways to unify. But we can't compromise truth in that unification process. Because if we're compromising the truth, then that unity ultimately, I don't want to say it's for nothing, but if you're deviating from the truth, then you yourself are being influenced by spirits that are not of God. I'm just going to say that. Y'all know how I feel. Because I'm not looking at the flesh and blood. I'm looking at it from a spiritual standpoint. Anywho, let's see what the question is.
And so we do get some more middle ground with each other. What do you think those shared values are?
So to me, womanhood is a social class. We are put in a hierarchy societal-wise in the way that we are objectified, the way we are sexualized in porn and on the streets by men, the way our government dictates what we can and cannot do to our bodies, the way the government withholds funding to research medical facilities and things for our bodies as well as biological women's bodies as well. There are many things that we
What does that mean?
overlap with. And when I look at all of you, I see the similarities before I see the differences, but I also see the struggle. I work in a I don't want to say exactly what, but like I work with women every single day, and they tell me about the different things that happen to their body, where they have miscarriages or periods, and it is very hard to watch and listen to. And all I can do is support them and know that they have somebody to look up to. So I mean, you can.
Okay, well, you just answered. So we've deviated from the question, which is womanhood is defined by biology. But listen, you answered the question. You answered the question, but you are denying the truth that is present in the answer that you just gave. Like, there is a reason why that is difficult and why that is hard from a miscarriage and from a period standpoint and from, all the biological differences that are between men and women. There's a reason why it's hard for you to sit and listen to that and to find the right words to say. It's because, bro, we're different. We're different. And that's great. That's beautiful because God made us male and female. Right? That's how he made us. We have different roles, but we're equal. At the end of the day, we're equal. But yes, we have different roles because, Adam was created first. And that's significant. Let's not brush over that. Like, that's significant if you're a Bible believer, right? So we have different roles. So don't willingly forfeit the identity that was given to you by God, who has perfect knowledge of all things. Don't willingly forfeit that because you think and you feel that you're somebody who you're not. Let me stop preaching.
Think I'm a woman or not, it doesn't really matter to me, but I see the similarity and I see you as a sister to me. If I saw you on the street, I'm going to do whatever I can to protect you, and I would hope that you would do the same thing for me. So that's just where I am.
Absolutely. And I just want to offer you that space too, because I'm not trying to go in on you, obviously. I guess I'm just curious. I'm just very
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, well, hey, I think that's
By the
why
way, like you said, you do we are going to have severely different levels of conservatism.
Yeah, absolutely.
And religion, all these things are going to dictate the way we see things and respond to
100%.
things.
Hey friends, let's talk really quick about.
Listen, shout out to Dr. Daff, but we ain't doing no free ad spots. We ain't doing that. What's the next question? Oh, this is the most replayed right here out of the entire video. This is the most replayed section. Let's see. I'm trying to skip the ad. Okay. Ooh.
For the.
Okay. Enough. Come on. Come on, bro. I guess I could just use this. Okay. Trans women should be included in women's sports. That's where I'm trying to go, but this is a very long advertisement. Okay, here we go. Okay, we back. Hold on, we back. Okay.
About this topic. I kind of just get my media from.
She hasn't said a word.
I follow an independent page that is unbiased, but I do believe, going on the whole biological thing, when it comes to that, I believe that women and men in general, they do have different structures for their bodies. They have different ways of.
Isn't it so crazy that we have to be mindful not to hurt somebody's feelings when we are just telling really basic truth? Why do we have to tiptoe around the truth? Men are men, women are women. Why do we have to tiptoe around that? What?
Being able to build muscle, build up their bodies. And I just believe that women should have their own section. And I feel like possibly trans women and trans men should have their own section dedicated to them, because maybe that would also.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think there's enough of them. I don't think there's enough of them. I agree though. I do agree. Or just, or this is a crazy idea. This is a crazy idea. Might get me canceled. Or just play in your sport according to your biological makeup. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're a woman, just play women's sports. If you're a man, then play men's sports. Is that a crazy idea to have? I guess.
So give them more of a spotlight as well.
Yeah, and I can respect that. I feel like there's just not enough of us. You know what I mean?
I'm a little bit I've debated this topic a lot. If you follow me and follow my platform, and I definitely want to respond to a lot of what you're saying. First of all, I will say trans women are women. They're not men. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
Trans women are women. They're not men.
I was talking about cis men and cis women. Bodies are different. I totally agree with that. I am a personal believer that trans women do not have a competitive edge. We have trans athletes like Leah Thomas.
Trans women do not have a competitive edge. Trans women do not have a competitive edge. Trans women do not have a competitive edge. I'm not trying to be rude. This is probably how it's going to come across, though. But can we just keep it a stack? Some of y'all could be starting right tackles in the league right now. I'm not going to say who, but I'm seeing some genetics that would translate as a starting left tackle in the NFL. And so if we're going to sit here and say that you don't have a biological advantage, I'm just so appalled at the irresponsibility of that statement. You don't think that somebody's going to get hurt? Go in the ring. MMA, boxing, even basketball. Like, you don't think that
You're saying you're probably talking about cis men and cis women. Bodies are different. I totally agree with that. I am a personal believer that trans women do not have a competitive edge. We have trans athletes like Leah Thomas who won 5th place in swimming. She didn't win 1st place. And the thing is, when it comes to trans athletes, their hormone levels have to be at a certain level to be able to participate in the 1st place. And a lot of the controversy with Leah Thomas was she tied in 5th place.
Look, I apologize about the left tackle statement. Sometimes I try to be funny and say stuff. I'm sorry. That wasn't nice. That's on me. I apologize. I'm just saying there's a difference. That's all I'm saying. There's a difference. Okay? Let's continue.
With Riley Gaines, who I'm not too fond of myself. And so it was this whole conversation around, can trans women have this competitive edge? Absolutely not. It goes back to the conversation that some women have higher levels of natural testosterone than some trans women. And we do not always have the competitive edge over cis athletes. There are plenty of trans athletes out there. Now, there's not enough for us to be able to compete in our own sports. So that's why it's important that trans women play with women in sports. Now, the reality of it is we don't give trans men this same slack and this same mouth like we do trans women, right? And so my question always becomes, why is that? Why do conservative women not give trans men the same flack that they give trans women in sports? I would love to know the answer to that.
Because you're not going to find one that can compete with men. Let's just keep it real. Like, from a competitive standpoint, I'm talking at the, like, it's now y'all doing the thing where I got to tiptoe. It's different, and that we know it's different. You want to get a trans man to step in the ring and box against, one of them ones. Okay, let's see how that goes. It's not going to go good. it's not gonna go good. Like it's these conversations are so frustrating because it's like so obvious what the answer is. It's so obvious. As a biologically, you were born as a man, you should not be competing in women's sports. And don't try to hit me with the argument of, oh, well, I have less testosterone and I have more estrogen. I don't want to hear that argument. Like, I get it. I understand that plays a role in certain aspects. But biologically, you are built different. You're built different. Naturally, men naturally are bigger, stronger, faster, naturally. Now, there are women who are very athletic, very competitive, and who are amazing athletes. That goes without being said. But it's still different. It's still different. It's different. Let's not act like it's not different.
Question.
So for me, I grew up playing sports. Water polo was my thing. And even now, like I do martial arts, right? And so even in water polo, sometimes we would have to practice with the boys. And it was humbling to see the disparity between me as an 18-year-old girl, senior year on varsity, versus a 12 to 14-year-old boy. And that's not because I sucked. That's because they're growing muscles, and there's just, when it comes down to it, you can't fight that biology. And so when I see, the argument that trans individuals should participate in women's sports specifically, and to answer your question, why are trans women targeted so much, is because trans men are not going to be winning athletic competitions against biological men, right? Biological women are the ones. I disagree with that.
And bro, here's the other thing. I'm just talking about the Bible. I'm talking about the Bible. Men and women were not created to compete physically against one another. What does the Bible say? What does the Bible say? Husbands, lay down your life for your wife. This is why a man will leave his mother and father and cling to his wife, right? Wives, submit to your husbands. Wives, a helpmate to your husband. What did God say? It is not good for man to be alone. So he created Eve from his rib. Like, this is not, the men and women were not created to compete physically against each other in competitive environments such as what we're talking about right here. Because it's not safe. It's not safe. Really, at any level, it's not safe. At the highest level, it could be fatal. Like, just think, for example, let's just go to the example of the NFL, because I had brought up a left tackle, right? You put a trans man in the NFL, the whole league is getting sued, because what's going to happen to that individual is going to be devastating. Like, and that's just one example. We don't even got to get that extreme. Like, I'm trying to think of like a contact baseball. Like you gonna see the difference. Like, and y'all gonna say, oh, you just sexist and you misogynistic and blah, 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 blah. Whatever. I don't care what y'all say though, boy. I'm just kidding. I do. That's the problem. I do care what you guys say. Anyway, let's continue.
Patricio, what was Patricio's last name?
It is about
He's won
900
a couple of boxing matches against cis men. Patricio Emmanuel, I think that's his last name.
But that's few and far between, right? And so when we're thinking about somebody, especially after they've gone through puberty, they have the muscle mass of a biological man. They have the lung capacity of a biological man. They have the bone density of a biological man.
Everybody's size and everybody's body chemistry is actually different. You cannot actually measure the size of somebody's heart, somebody's lungs to be able to determine that. There are some cis women women who have a higher agility than trans women. Because again, Leah Thomas only got 5th place. These trans women are not getting first place across the board. And so I just want to make sure that we're not being intellectually dishonest about people's body chemistry. It is a case-by-case basis. All trans women, all women are not made the same.
I would really love to hear the rest of what you were trying to say.
Yeah, so I just think when it comes down to it, we can say there's an outlier here and there, or there's an outlier where a transgender woman matches the hormone levels. But when we're looking at the averages of a group, a biological man is always going to beat out a biological woman. And so when we talk about, right, like feminism and everything and like giving women opportunities.
But trans women does not start with biology, it's gender identity.
Just let me finish this one point. For like feminists, I don't know if you like proclaim yourself as feminists, but I would think that a big part of feminism is giving women opportunities. A big part of a lot of girls like me and friends that I have was getting scholarships in sports to go to college. That's how a lot of my friends were even able to go and pursue a degree. And so when they're being beat out, there's like 900 instances globally where trans women
Can
have
you show
beat
those
out.
resources? I don't think so. And if your feminism does not include trans women, it's very problematic. I just want you to know that.
That's what I was gonna say.
If your feminism does not include men, that's problematic. Okay. Let me go to the chapters. Let me see what else we got going on here. So the sports debate, the trans movement is imposing its ideology on the younger generation. I believe everyone should be addressed by their chosen pronouns. Denying trans people healthcare. I want to go to the pronouns ones. Let's see what the pronoun one is. I'm curious.
Curious as that is wrong.
Whoa. We can't do the music. Can't do the music. Hold on. They still playing the music? All right, hold on. We gotta wait.
Basic bare minimum of how trans people should be treated. I don't really have anything to say. I just think that it's a bare minimum. And if it's that difficult for you to respect a trans person's pronouns, I think.
Then what?
You should probably go do some internal work on yourself.
Ooh, I thought she. Ooh, she. All right, y'all. Let me know what you think about this video. They done got me, bruh. They done got me. Guess y'all right. Y'all done got me.
I just want to add, I agree with you completely.
Thank you.
I feel like respect needs to be like just something, like just a common staple. Like we should not.
That's fine, but can we respect truth? Okay, I'm serious now. Can we respect truth? Because you can say, oh, I believe that this is true. And that might be true to you, but there is real truth. There is perfect truth that exists. And that's just a fact. And that is only found in the Bible. And now to close this out, I do think we need to be more compassionate. Don't be like me making jokes. I'm sorry, but I hope y'all can see my heart. You know how you be saying stuff and it's like, oh, God sees my heart. I hope y'all can see my heart. We do need to be more compassionate. I think we do need to understand that we are all human beings at the end of the day. We are all made in the image of God. And he created us equally, but uniquely at the same time. And it's beautiful what women, not even beautiful, it's a miracle. The things that women are able to do. And it is so uniquely representative of the beauty that God had in his heart when he created women. It's just the things that women do are incredible. So to sit here as a man and say that I have even the ability to act like I know what that's like. Like, I don't know what that's like. I have no idea what that's like, because I was created completely different. And that's beautiful as well. And I think we need to stop letting the enemy confuse us into thinking that God made a mistake. Anyway, let me know what y'all think. Get in my comments, like this video. I'm out, y'all.